Hi, my name is June and I play Scrabble. I knew several days in advance that last Saturday was going to be the best day ever. I mean, from a meteorological standpoint, how could you not be excited? We were well north of the 540 line, we're going to get a boatload of snow. And oh, yeah, I also signed up for a Scrabble tournament on that day. And going into this tournament, I was feeling pretty good. If you saw my last video, you'd know that I won the Division B at the Midwest Major tournament just a few weeks earlier. And even better, as I was waiting for people to show up, sitting in the playing room, I figured I would play some warm-up Ultra Blitz games against Hastybot, my favorite opponent. I lost the first ones, as you might expect, but then I won by 152. Everything was going my way. I was about to win this tournament. I did not win this tournament. So what went wrong? Game 1 started out fairly uneventfully until turn 4 when I played out Wales as a bingo, which is not a word in any lexicon. You can outball, you can outweep, but you cannot outwhale. And here I have several viable plays, but I make my best option by static equity, also sims the best by a decent margin. You know, it's nice to set up my P here with very few scoring tiles remaining. The only issue is it's Collins only. I knew I'd seen it before in some stream or video or something, and it stuck with me. And Joe held it for a second but didn't challenge, and he actually plays Collins as well, so that may have worked to my benefit. Now we get to a very interesting, in my opinion, pre-endgame. Joe plays for 2 points, and given that, and of course his previous plays run Lee for 13 apiece, they seem very fishy, and this confirms that this is the cherry on top. Not only does he have a strong bingo rack, he's definitely got the S because that's the only tile that even fits on top of ER. And now, of course, I'm compelled to block this lane because he's got an S, he's got strong bingo tiles. From my perspective, there's a pretty good chance that he's going to have a bingo here that's going to score upwards of 70. And that's bad. So in this position, I played V, which is great to block the top row that Joe just opened. I was very happy to make this play in game. The catch, though, is that this is nowhere even close to my top play according to a Macondo simulation. And well, the reason for this is that I totally underestimated how many bingos will fit on the D column. So if Joe bingos here for about 70 or something, I'm going to be in big trouble because I'm keeping garbage tiles and I'm going to have 7 to his 3 in the end game. It's generally not going to go well for me. The best option, according to Macondo, is to play Vug right here. Awesome word, shout out to Vug. But the reason it works, it seems crazy because it leaves this open. I mean, you know, plays like Joiners are going to score massively, and it's true I will lose if he has something like that, but the upside outweighs that danger. If Joe doesn't have a game-ending J bingo here, I'll often pick it up after Vug, and if I also draw an A or an O, I'll just have a 40-point play here that'll let me coast to victory anyway. And of course, it's more likely that after V, he'll just have, well, any bingo that plays here that's probably going to be enough for him to win, instead of after Vug, he has to have specifically higher scoring bingos, or maybe I draw a particularly awful combination of tiles that would let him win the game. But I played V, and fortunately for me, Joe did not have a bingo down the D column. Instead, he fished off just an A. And now I have another pre-endgame position to navigate. This one I felt was a bit more straightforward, looking back at it, of course. Over the board, I looked at the unseen tiles, and I couldn't find a single bingo that would play here. I found a lot of things, but nothing actually worked, and so I figured I might as well just try and play off some more tiles and go out as quickly as I can in the endgame to get as much spread as I can. And I drew IO, and as I crossed them off of my score sheet, I realized with horror that I'd missed one critical bingo of Injera's, which Joe bingoed out with for 90 to win by 40. I had considered plays like GAD here, which I didn't do because, of course, bingos hooking EGAD would still have hit. Similarly, RAD gives back ORAD, but what I didn't see is simply TAD would be fine even, or even something like Grizz, which I guess would be a little harder to be totally sure of, but I could just work through possibilities with the G. I had time on my clock. It wasn't like I was under time pressure at this point. The Macondo pre-endgame calculation assumes that I am, after a play that does not block, I am 34 out of 36 to win, which makes it seem like I lost because I got awfully unlucky because, you know, most of the time I'm going to win here. But that isn't the case. After the plays Joe's been making, I can probably reasonably infer he's keeping something like AEINRS, which is what he was keeping, in fact. With that, he has an I, J, or O, so it's really a 1 in 3 chance he has in Jared's. I didn't lose because I got unlucky. I lost because I screwed up and I didn't see the relevant bingo. Round 2, I was very happy to see an opening bingo, and really everything just went my way this game. I played reasonably well for most of it, I would say, and I drew well enough, and yeah, I mean, everything worked out. It was my turn to bingo out, and I ended up with a pretty nice win against Dave. So I'm feeling pretty good about rebounding in round 2, of course. It's just that now I'm facing my friend Jason, who happens to be far and away the top seed of the tournament. So we'll see how this one goes for me. I have several bingos available here, luckily for me, and I do pick the best one. Jason immediately plays Trank. I immediately play Zek. It's starting off as a pretty high-scoring game until I run into some awkward tiles. Something like Trot here might have been a bit better, just to give less back to Jason. In response to my slightly suboptimal play, Jason insults me, which was frankly completely uncalled for. I'm kidding. Anyway, I make another slightly not great play. Jason bingos with matrices, and then again with dingers. So at this point, I'm just like, well, this kind of sucks. But I fight on. Good looks good. And Jason plays Figgy, which I held for a little bit, but it just didn't look familiar, and I'd spent a lot of time studying 5s, so I challenged, and fortunately that was the right move for me. In this position, I do have a playable bingo of Pianola, which I have never seen before this, so I can't be mad about missing it. I played Nopal here in order to create some more floaters, just some more space on the board. The drawback, though, is that it doesn't actually increase my probability of hitting this triple really with a bingo, because there's already an L in that position. On this turn, I miss another bingo, although I am a bit upset about it because I knew the word pinwhale would have played for 87, and I just somehow didn't see it on my rack. I shouldn't be missing that. And I try and fish for something, I don't hit, and that's the end of the game. A pretty decisive loss. Jason just... I just couldn't keep up with him. Now for game 4, get ready for some subpar Scrabble for me. Well, I do play all right at first, some optimal moves and my only bingo there. And now begins the missed bingo fest. I have one playable bingo, usuries. I wasn't actually sure of the 5 usury, so I'm not too mad about missing it. I've definitely seen it. I wasn't sure of it, though. However, my play that I made instead was kind of... It scores 3 points. I could have instead just dropped an S here for 30, which obviously keeps 2 U's, but like 30 points. I continued to miss that spot for the entire game, by the way. So I have more bingos available. I managed to talk myself out of sorries, which I was like completely sure of the 5 at the very least. I don't know. My anxiety won out. I also saw suasive as a possibility, but I hadn't actually seen this word before. I think I'd seen suasory, which is not this word, so I didn't try it. Here, I missed more bingos that I didn't know. I did miss housewives, which I did know, although my play seems a little better. And so at this point, I was already aware, like, I've probably missed a lot of bingos. I wasn't too down on myself, but I was just trying to do my best and really hoping that I do find one. It did not happen on this turn. I missed edibles, and instead I made this stupid play setting up my S in a very petty way, which Joshua easily blocked. In this position, I made what looked like my clear best play of bye, but it's interesting to discuss whether or not putting an E at the end to set up a powerful S hook is worth it. The simulation loves it, of course. I'm not so sure I do. It's so easy for Joshua to infer that I have an S and then block with just playing a 2. I don't know, I feel like I could go either way. But I get a lucky break in that Joshua, he was going to play WAE but then took the E off. It happens to everyone, but I was lucky that it came at the right time for me, and I finally found a bingo. Yeah, and then he plays Mew, and it's a close and exciting end game. And to my credit, I identified in my last tournament that one of my biggest weaknesses is my time management. I really have struggled with that in the past, but in this tournament, I was doing a whole lot better. Despite having the blank for like 10 turns, I was actually committing an option at a reasonable pace each time. And so by this point, I had a few minutes to just think about the end game, and it paid off. I found what was, I think, just 2 points below my optimal sequence. I played Oda in the spot that I missed earlier, knowing that he couldn't go out with the Brit anywhere. He had to play Tomb. I could respond with Eel, and then he has to go out with Rit, which is a 5-point win for me. Despite doing my very best to lose this game, the tile bag had other plans, and it worked out for me. Round 5 has a bit of an interesting start because Eric played Dino here, and he thought for, I think, almost 5 minutes. Just from that alone, I was convinced that he had a blank. I couldn't think of any other reason that he would think so long and then just play Dino for 10. And so, inferring that he has a blank, I think the only bingo I saw here was isobars, which obviously I'm a meteorology major, of course this is the one I'll see, but I opted to not play isobars and instead play here and keep the board tight because I didn't want to open a triple when I'm pretty sure that Eric has a blank. So instead, I figure I'll keep things closed off. Maybe if he bingos hooking fugs, then I'll get a triple myself. Eric did not end up bingoing, instead playing beeped, and here this was kind of stupid. I missed all of my actual, good bingos. Instead, the only bingos I found placed tiles in the triple line. And that sucks because I'm still operating under the assumption that he has a blank, but at this point I just figured, I don't know, I can't find any great satisfying plays that don't use the blank. I couldn't stomach just playing rot for 17, 16. I figured I would just have to play this and cross my fingers and hope for the best, which is exactly what happened. He would have had Radiator for 74, but didn't find that. And this was really the best case scenario. Moving on, the board quickly becomes horribly closed off, and I make a number of kind of small mistakes that really add up and lead to my eventual loss in this game. This game, I did not manage my time quite as well, possibly because there were just a lot of turns and the board was so closed off, but I was down to about 30 seconds and I was holding his play at re-review, and I was like, what am I doing? I just play def and then go out. But I still lose, unfortunately. Game 6 starts kind of uneventfully. I find my only bingo, and then Julia bingos back soon after. And in this position, I spent a while, actually, I think a couple minutes, debating the validity of flight, FLYTE, but hilariously, the thing that actually got me to play it, and it is my best valid move, was my old word game hobby. If you saw the older videos on the channel, you know I used to speedrun Wordle, and when I played 7-letter Wordle, one of the starting words that I would use was flighting, which is of course an inflection of this word, and the Wordle word list is not necessarily NWL, but that just gave me the confidence I needed. Soon after, Julia then plays Delph, and I have an obvious move, of course, Kaid in this spot. Score 42, get rid of my queue that does everything I want it to do. But instead, I actually didn't play Kaid, and I didn't play any of my top equity moves here. And so you might be wondering, what crazy stunt am I about to pull? Am I gonna play Aid, hoping for an eye draw? No, I do something even worse. I challenge Delph, and then Julia triples. This is painful to even look back at. First, let's address the challenge. I have spent so many hours studying fours, and in theory, I'm rock solid on them. I mostly am, but evidently this is the one time in 100 where I don't know, it looked so wrong to me in the moment for whatever reason. Losing the challenge on its own was bad enough, and then of course the triple, my mistake was punished in the harshest possible way. I usually do have fun in Scrabble, win or lose, but in this moment I was very down on myself. But You know, you try and move on, you continue playing, everybody makes mistakes. Even me, the second coming of Nigel Richards. Anyway, I played almost my best endgame and did manage to at least break 300. I'd be lying if I said that wasn't a pretty painful loss. I entered Game 7 a bit shaken, but still, time to move on. It's the last game of the tournament, so I'll just do the best I can. Despite that, in this position, I immediately laid down my best option of Extremum. I think I had encountered the alphagram of Extrema on Aerolith, and I remembered from that seeing in the definition the little angle bracket and then Extremum, comma, a maximum or minimum or whatever. Despite that, I couldn't do it. I laid this on the board, but I couldn't do it. I instead rearranged my tiles to form a much lamer bingo that gives back a whole lot more here. I think if this were the first game of the tournament, if Delph hadn't happened, I think I would have been able to play Extremum. I think I would have had the courage. I usually have played with confidence in my word knowledge, and it's done me a lot more good than harm, but it was just hard for me to really think that way when the previous game happened to contain the most devastating incorrect challenge of my entire Scrabble career. Either way, Mixture is still a bingo. I'm not doing terribly here. I miss Oculi, which is a bit better. And here I have another star play from H8 available of Exercise, which I saw a few seconds after I hit my clock. Instead, I exchanged OU here. Maybe you should have taken a few more seconds on that turn. Harriet then plays her highest scoring bingo, unfortunately blocking the Exercise play that I redrew. I get a bingo, and I play an okay play, and then I draw into an 81 point Zadie. Yeah, that's about it. Every turn I'm able to score like an okay amount and keep the game moving. Harriet never really gets anything together, and well, that's it. That's the end of the game. Well, that's the tournament. I went 3-4 plus 15. I thought it was interesting to compare how I played this tournament to my previous one. I made a similarly styled spreadsheet, and unfortunately I did have to add 2 more columns for phonies and bad challenges, which I didn't have any in the previous tournament. Comparing the numbers of mistakes and blunders to my previous tournament, I actually played a bit better. Although it would be a whole lot better if you excluded this outlier of a game against Joshua, where of course I was missing bingos left and right. Although I didn't bingo quite as frequently, my points per turn was a little bit higher. In the Midwest Major, 2/3 of the bingos I missed were actually words that I knew, but this time it's far from the case. I've been in touch with Jason after the tournament, and he offered what I thought was some really valuable wisdom. Jason told me that at my level, not missing high probability bingos may actually be an indication that I'm not pushing my boundaries enough. And I think what he said has merit, especially for me. The way I study words it's indicative of my nature as a perfectionist. I'm not one to learn a whole bunch of new words all at once. Instead, I kind of endlessly go back and study words that I've already learned just to bring them as close as I can to 100%, which I think is just not the right way to go about things. I stand to gain a lot more by studying 1,000 more bingos, even if I only find them, say, 60 or 70% of the time. I'd still be a lot better off than I am now, especially if you compare that to spending about the same time squeezing every last percentage out of the 2,000 or so bingos that I have studied. So my takeaways from this tournament, that's one of them. I'd like to expand my bingo range, learn more words instead of just endlessly focusing on the ones that I already mostly know. In order to do that, I have to get over my perfectionism, but it's gotta happen at some point. Maybe I'll try and go up to 3,000 by the end of this year. Who knows? And another takeaway that I've gotten from this tournament is that I should play with more confidence in my word knowledge. Because that sounds funny to say after phonying twice and then challenging Delph, but I chickened out of so many words that were valid. I don't really think that it's best to err on the side of caution like that. Maybe it would be if you're playing against a grandmaster, but at my level, the people I'm playing are probably not Mac Meller. They're more like closer to me, and I'm very much imperfect. Painful instances like Sorries and Extremum come to mind. In both cases, I knew the word. I had every reason to be confident, and yet I still was too scared. But honestly, at the end of the day, my lackluster play aside, I had so much fun. I think my forecast, if we want to call it that, of this being a great day, did indeed verify. I mean, I got to see a lot of friends at the tournament. I got to play 7 games of Scrabble, so I really can't complain. Furthermore, the snow forecasts also verified. I think we got about 8 inches over much of northern Illinois. And every time I was playing a game on the windowed side of the room, I would keep looking outside and just watch the snow fall. I found it very relaxing. And of course, I'm a weather nerd. There was a possibility of thunder snow for which I was prepared to run outside during the middle of a game. Fortunately for me, that didn't happen. I don't know what videos I might make in the near future. I have no upcoming tournaments, so no more tournament recaps for now. But we'll see. Maybe I will upload something. Who knows? I certainly don't. But either way, thank you for watching, and goodbye.